is your favorite thing to advise people on?
So I love being able to talk to people about the mindsets that they should have. You have fear that you're still dealing with. You still have a scarcity mindset. And I love being able to see people break free from that.
What do you think about the current state of the U.S. economy right now?
Uncertainty. That's the word that I would give it.
Okay.
I think it's very, very uncertain. I work with a lot of millennials, right? A lot of immigrants, a lot of young people, things like student loans. What exactly is happening?
How has AI impacted your career? Welcome to another episode of Coding Capital. We have Kofo Akoshile in the building.
Kofo,
Financial planner.
Yes, me.
Okay, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, but tell us your background. Go into how you got started in the finance field.
All right. So I always tell people, because people always ask me, how did you become a financial planner? The simple answer is Jesus, because I was not looking for this career. I didn't know it existed. But if you were to take it all the way back, background-wise, I am Nigerian. So a few people think I'm Ghanaian because of the K. It's Kofo. But born in Nigeria, came to Houston when I was 2, moved back when I was 12, came back to Houston when I was 16, did college here, all of that. And I think for me, being able to see the best of both worlds, one thing I believe about Nigerians is we work hard.
Mm-hmm.
We're hustlers. You put us wherever you want to put us, we tend to exceed. Right. And we like excellence. But one thing I noticed is that why is it that when life happens to us here, it hits a little different than other people, right? When people are passing away or things are happening, why does it seem like we're starting over and over and over? And for me in college, having a lot of friends who were doctors and lawyers and engineers, obviously, I was like, man, you're going to make a lot of money, but what are you going to do with it? How are we going to be like the other communities? And so that really led me into financial planning after meeting somebody else who does this. And he said, find what you love to do without getting paid. That is your passion. And I was like, oh, well, I like planning events. Event planner? My mom said, no. Only child, it's not going to make enough money. And I found that I could marry my love for people and my own ambition, right, in financial planning. And it was a natural progression.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
It's an interesting story. Just kind of kick things off, right? You're into personal finance, you're a certified financial planner. What should people be doing right now to plan for their financial future?
That is a great question. I would say that's a timeless question, right? It's not even about today, right now, but what should people be doing in general when it comes to planning?
Yeah.
The first thing is have a vision, have a goal in mind. A lot of people miss that. They try to jump ahead to, okay, I'm going to invest, right? I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. But where are you trying to go?
Yeah.
That's the first question that I ask people. People come to me, Kofo, I want to make money. Okay, great. For what? Oh, to just have more money. Okay, great. But for what?
Right.
Right? Because it's like saying I want to go on vacation. Okay, great. Where? What do you like to do? That's going to determine the route that you take. And so I think the first thing is really people looking at where am I trying to go? What's important to me financially? That will help you start to create the path. And then you look at the basics. Based off of my end goal, where am I at now? Right? Do I have a solid savings? Do I have a good emergency fund based off of my career? If you're in tech, it might look different than somebody in oil and gas versus an entrepreneur, how much you need. And then you start to build up. You don't want to skip steps, but you want to start with the foundation. And ultimately, what is your goal? What is your vision?
Nice. So what is your favorite thing to advise people on?
Oh, that's a good question. We talk about a lot of stuff in my meetings. I would say my favorite thing to advise people on is life. It's life. In another life, I probably would have been a psychologist. My mother also said no. Oh, she doesn't watch it. It's still a lot of no's. I love the people side of this. And a lot of people think that financial planning is all about numbers. And yeah, it is. But it's really about people and your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings. Because somebody told me, there's a lot of noise right now, right? And we think about the noise in the market and the news and all these things that we're hearing. But what I find is the noise is really inside. A lot of people have noise inside. They're battling what they grew up with, how they grew up with money, the different instances that they've had, right? And they don't realize it. And that makes so much of a difference when it comes to your finances. So I love being able to talk to people about the mindsets that they should have. And even why I have clients who are making a lot and they have a lot, but they feel like they're poor.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about that, right? Like, that's not about the numbers because the numbers look great. Oh, why are you tripping? But it's being able to talk through. You have fear that you're still dealing with. You still have a scarcity mindset, and I love being able to see people break free from that. But please, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed, I'm not a licensed counselor. Get some help.
I feel like we do need financial therapists because there's a lot of like financial hurt that happen to people,
Yeah.
and those issues need to be resolved.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of noise, right? In the market and the news. What do you think about the current state of the U.S. economy right now?
I think that it's a lot of noise and uncertainty.
Mhm.
That's the word that I would give it. I
Okay.
think it's very, very uncertain with things that are going to happen, especially with the people that I work with. I work with a lot of millennials, right? A lot of immigrants, a lot of young people. And so things like student loans. What exactly is happening? What will happen? What do we do with this? Right? We look at interest rates and like, are they going to drop? How do I make decisions about that? And so right now it's very tumultuous just because people just don't know exactly what's going to happen with all the policy changes, right? Trade wars, how is that really going to impact us, right? How does that impact my job security? And so my advice for people is control what you can control,
True.
right? Focus on what you can focus on because will things change with student loans? Yes. What will change? We don't know until it changes for me, right? So look at where you're at. What can I control is what are my goals? What do I have in savings? What do I do right now? And you just keep making adjustments. I think people sometimes get bogged down and they get paralyzed with, okay, but what if this changes? What if that changes? You have to make the best decisions with what you have today.
Yes, and then as a follow-up to that, a lot of people are, I think for me, I don't know people's, I've just been hearing people, a lot of people are sitting on cash, right? Because of this currency and economy. Like, would you say keep holding on to your cash? Or, if you have opportunity to invest it, would you say, okay, everything you got to do with research
Yeah.
and make sure it makes sense, right? So people are sitting a bunch of cash, waiting for the market to turn. What would you say to those kind of clients that you're dealing with?
I would say, and it's going to sound annoying, but like looking at your goals, right? What is it that's important to you?
Okay.
It's like the question of people saying, is this a good time to buy a house? Were you trying to buy a house right now? Right? Like, don't necessarily wait until interest rates drop. If it was already your goal, I want to buy a house in 3 years, 3 years, it's now. You have the money for it, you find the house you like, and get it. Right? Don't worry about, oh, what if this changes and what if that changes? If it's according to your plan and it makes sense, do it. Right? So the people that are sitting on cash, my question would be, what is the purpose of it? Right? If it's, oh, I'm just afraid of investing, dollar cost average. Why are you waiting? Right? Why you dump in cash where you can just do it slowly over time? You're waiting for the bottom, but the reality is you don't know it's the bottom until it goes back up.
Work up.
And you've already
Missed it.
you've missed it.
So this is a topic that I feel like not a lot of people get into, but I want to get into trust versus estate. And why should people set up a trust, especially if like they're like a high earner, they have a high net worth? Is it advisable to set up a trust? And what is the difference between trust and estate?
That's a great question, right? We're talking about building wealth. And then I would say with estate planning and trust, that's protecting the wealth, right, that you're building. And so, really, when you ask about estate versus trust, it's not necessarily a versus. Estate planning is looking at how do you want to manage all of your assets, right? We all have an estate. Whether you only have $10 or you have 10 million, you have an estate. And so, estate planning is making sure that if something were to happen to you, if you were to pass away, if you were to be incapacitated, what are the decisions that you want to be made? Who do you want this money to go to? Right. And that is what estate planning as a whole is. That includes having a will, maybe a trust, right? Living power of attorneys, things like that. A trust is one tool within estate planning,
Okay.
right? So the trust is really, really good, especially if you have young kids or a lot of assets, because it protects you even more. So it avoids probate. And think of probate as people being in your business.
Oh, I already know probate. I've gone to it twice this year already.
It's not fun.
It's not.
It's not. It's a lot. Whereas a trust just sets everything up. If you have, for people who have young kids, you get to have a lot of control to say, okay, you get this money at this age for this long if you do these things. And that's really what wealthy people are doing to make sure that money can stay in the family, right? And things can happen according to their plan. And when I say wealthy, it's not about a dollar amount, right? Let's think of it as a mindset at this point.
So the process to set up a trust, let's say family, maybe 4 kids, maybe $1 million in assets. Like, what is that process like? How long would that take to set up?
Yeah, it's really talking to an attorney
Okay.
is what you want to do. So with me and my team, we partnered up with a virtual estate planning service for people who don't have super complicated situations. Because when you're looking at setting up a trust, this could be $5,000, $8,000. And for some people, they're like, it's important, but I don't know.
That's how much it costs, like $8,000 to set up a trust?
Yeah, to set up a trust, so to talk to an attorney. But with our services, for people who don't have as complicated situations, it's tenth of the cost.
Okay.
Is what we're talking about. But if you do have a lot of kids or multiple businesses, right? You have overseas businesses, you have multiple assets. It's worth that $5,000 to $8,000, not just the time part, the complexity, right? Do you have partners in your business, right? You have to think about all those different aspects, and you want an attorney to set it up with the right verbiage. Because it's those loopholes that get people, right?
And get people in trouble. Okay, so as someone who's been in tech industry for most of my career, we always receive like stock grants, RSUs, stock options. Can you like explain the differences between that?
Yes, and that might be a whole other podcast.
All right.
Oh, then it gets complicated. But I would say the main ones that people take a look at or ask me about at least is the RSUs versus the stock option, right? So RSUs, restricted stock units. And this is typically whenever your company's paying you compensation in the form of stock.
Yes.
Right. And so people don't realize that whenever it gets vested, you get taxed on that. Like that's income to you. And so then if you either sell it immediately, great, no more income, you can diversify, or no more income tax. If you hold it, right, with the RSUs, if you hold it for less than a year and then you sell, you not only paid income tax, but you paid income tax again.
Capital gains or no?
Short-term capital gains, right, which is ordinary income tax. If you hold it for longer than a year, that's when you pay long-term capital gains. So that's with RSUs. You get taxed immediately that it vests.
Okay.
And then stock options, typically that's whenever your company gives you the option to buy into their stock at usually a reduced cost.
Okay.
Right. So that's really the difference. One is a form of equity compensation. One is you got to pay for it if you want to, but you're getting a discount.
Okay. So basically, if somebody's getting paid, let's say as part of your bonuses is stocks, and let's say you don't touch it for, let's say, 10 years, when you do want to touch it, you pay only the long-term capital gains.
Correct. Because you already paid income tax when it vested to you.
When it vested to you. So
you could be a capital loss, because that happened to me where the value actually decreased from when I was awarded the stock and I had a capital loss.
Yep. So there's all these different things you want to plan for, right? On the income tax side, one is if you're making $100,000 and you get $50,000 of RSUs, your income, according to the IRS, is $150. Are you planning for that extra tax bill? Some people aren't.
And that's the thing, because when you don't sell that stock, you still get the income added to your W-2, so you are still responsible for that part of your tax.
Is it only RSU? Is there other other awards that don't get taxed, or they always get taxed?
So they typically will get taxed. The question is, when do you get taxed? Right? So there's things like ISOs, there's non-qualified stock options, again, a whole different episode in and of itself. But a big part of that, which is where people come to financial planners, understanding what are my tax implications?
Okay.
And should I hold this? And how much should I hold? And how much should I sell?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Awesome. So I know we're talking about stocks, stock options. You know, people talk about ETFs, people talk about stocks from a risk perspective, right? Can you just talk about the difference of stocks versus ETFs?
Yeah. Think about stocks like I'm betting on one player. If you make it, I make it. Wonderful. If you get injured, something happens, we all lost, right? Whereas an ETF is I'm betting on a team. So even if that one player crashes out, all right, well, there's at least some other people in here that are going to pull it up. So from a risk perspective, investing in individual stocks is way more risky, right? Because you are betting on that one company. So example is Tesla. And people are just like, I don't know what Elon is doing. They're catching on fire. I got a Tesla. Please. They're catching on fire. Tesla stock drops. All you have is Tesla. A lot of your money is gone, right?
It makes sense.
But if you bought an ETF, even a tech ETF at that, you have Tesla, right? Microsoft, Apple. Even if something affects Tesla, it might not affect Apple. So you have now helped to mitigate your risk.
I just want to get into the big topic. It's all over the news. AI. How has AI impacted your career?
I would say AI has definitely benefited me in the sense of efficiency. I mean, all of us, right? So what my biggest value is being in front of my clients, is talking to them. So whatever helps me get in front of them and not have to be doing side stuff, that's a benefit. That's AI, whether it's client communications, right? Efficiencies with my staff, things like that. The bigger question that people tend to ask is, do you think you're going to be replaced by AI, right? And robo-advisors? Not really, no.
So what is robo-advisors? Can you explain what robo-advisors
Yeah.
is?
So robo-advisors are typically whenever you go on like a Fidelity or maybe a Vanguard and you're like, oh, I want to invest and have a portfolio, you have a couple of options. One is you do it yourself, take it by yourself. You have an advisor, which is another human being that's helping you, or a robo-advisor. And with the robo-advisor, this is, call it AI, computer, whatever, that will ask you a few questions. Hey, what's your risk tolerance? You know, how old are you? And then it picks your portfolio for you. So that's the robo-advisor. Think of it as asking ChatGPT, hey, what stock should I invest in? Right? Or how to build my portfolio. It's great, or it can be great if you have a little bit of money and it's a very simple situation. But for the people I work with, they have more questions, right? It's not just, hey, what do I invest in? But it's, does this make sense? When the market is crazy, right? What should I do with this? A robo-advisor doesn't know you. It doesn't know the ins and outs of your life and your goals and your dreams and your fears and your concerns. It's going to be very basic and a lot of times not personal to you. So I can't see that impacting me negatively. I can see that people will realize, oh, wait, I actually have more questions and I think I do need a human and I want to work with you.
Yeah. Well, follow-up question. I know how long you've been doing financial advisor?
Over a decade.
Over a decade. So what were some of the challenges you faced in this industry and how did you overcome those challenges?
I would say because of who I have chosen to work with. So I believe in purpose, right? And very early on, I started right out of college full time. So I was 21 years old. And I knew that this is crazy. I'm still a baby girl, but anyways, I knew who I wanted to work with. I knew I wanted to work with first generation wealth builders. I knew I wanted to work with immigrants like myself and millennials. And the reality is, working with that subset of people, still now, as it was 10 years ago, we are people that don't have financial literacy, or a lot of it. It wasn't passed on from my parents. Our parents aren't even from here. They don't know how it works. And so a big challenge I faced was people not knowing things, right? And sometimes, even now, still, I think people get caught up in the get rich quick schemes, right? And trying to figure out the fastest way to make money. And other communities understand investing a little bit more. They understand it's a long-term game and they know some of these things. And I had to spend a lot of time teaching. And it's not a bad thing, but overcoming a lot of mindset challenges was, I would say, the hardest thing that people still have to overcome, even now. But it's the most fulfilling when you see people become millionaires and all that.
Yeah, I want to touch on another topic. I know we're running out of time, but there's different type of retirement plans out there.
Yeah.
IRA, there's 401ks, Roths. Can you just talk a little bit about maybe the main ones? You're gonna go to all the different ones, but main ones that you see people are using at their workplace or as a business.
Definitely. So there are different types, especially if you are a W-2 employee, right, in corporate, or if you're a business owner. I won't touch on all the business owner ones because there's so many options there.
Well, you can touch on one, please, because
Wait, yeah.
some of my listeners are, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you have the 401k, and 401k is something you can only get through an employer. So 401k or 403b if you work for like a nonprofit or government. If you're a business owner, you could also set up a solo 401k or 401k for your business. So with the 401k, typically you get a match from your employer, which is great, and you can put a substantial amount within it. Now, IRA is individual retirement account. So this is set up separate from your employer. A lot of people ask me like, oh, should I do an IRA or 401k? The answer is likely both, right? Because you could put upwards of $23,000 in a 401k, but depending on your goals, you have to ask yourself, is that going to be enough for me in retirement? Of course not. Probably not.
Including an IRA.
Right? So also have an IRA. And then with the IRA, there's traditional IRA, there's Roth IRA. Which one you put into it, if you can, depends on your situation as far as what is your income, right? How much money do you have? Does it make sense to get a tax deduction? Can you get a tax deduction or do after tax? Then you have backdoor Roth and simples and SEP, all of those. And that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. The main thing I would say there is if your company gives you a match, please take the free money. Yeah. Be frugal. Take the free money. And look at setting up an IRA if you can, in addition to it. So it's not either or, but you need both. We have to plan for our future, and the government's not going to do it.
No, that's facts. From going to Nigeria when you were, was it 12?
Going back when I was 12, yeah.
So what are some of the things you picked up, right, that you're able to kind of tell your clients here or maybe first generation immigrants or maybe first generation wealth builders, right? That you've seen back home. And would you say people that are here should start looking about either helping others in other countries, or would you say just kind of, are you just focusing more on U.S. clients right now?
As of right now, I'll kind of answer the last one first. I am focused more on U.S. clients just because we talked about this economy. And it's like, that's a whole different economy, right? Currency, exchange rates. And I'm really about connecting people with people that know what they're doing in different areas. I just can't know everything. Right. And so for right now, I'm focused on the US. So I can't speak to, who knows, maybe I'll expand one day.
But I mean, do you even think those people are like, are they financial advisor are they financial advisor in the African countries? They should be.
They should be.
But I mean, what are people like? Again, is that a market for people, right? There's a financial, because there's a lot of money in Africa.
There is. I think it's
actually, I do want to get into that.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I would say we left. I say we. I think about Nigeria. It left the infrastructure that America has and the trust, right? So when we talk about what are the challenges I face working with immigrants, is that you're coming from countries that you can't trust what they set up. So you're looking at it and be like, this is a scam. And I'm like, it's not a scam. It's real. You need life insurance. You need to set up this IRA. And it's because we're coming from places that it's like, if I give them my money, will I see it back? Right? And so there's that aspect of distrust. And I think there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had, right, with the infrastructure for that to work.
In Africa.
On the personal level, I think that there's corporate finance, of course, right? But on a personal level, I don't know, honestly.
So talking about like investing in Africa, I'm a big fan of high yield savings because sometimes I don't like to risk all my money. I was like, give me the 4%, I'm good. Okay.
Well, I'll touch on that, but go ahead. We'll talk about
4% for now. But I started getting introduced to similar products in African countries, and they're offering like 15 to 20%.
Ooh.
I've heard that.
So have you ever researched into that? Is it legit? I mean, these are big banks. These are not like
15%.
15%.
Please send that to me.
Send it to me. I'll take a look at it. I'll give you my thoughts.
My sister does one.
Okay.
And she earns 15%.
And why are you not doing it?
She lives in she lives in Nigeria right now.
So that's the other thing too, is we gotta think about, I'm sending dollars into Naira, and then what the exchange rate gonna be? 15%, okay, cool, but like, is it really 15% after I change it back to dollars? You know what I mean? Like, that's part of the risk, the currency.
Is that annually? APR, or how's that?
No, it's
APR.
Same as that.
APY. So it's going to be higher savings. But what higher savings even? So here's the thing about higher savings. You're talking about 4%, but it's not guaranteed, right?
4% again.
It's not guaranteed because
it fluctuates.
It's not guaranteed because what was it a year ago? Higher than that. Yeah, right now.
I might get 3. I'm like 3 right now.
Yeah, I'm like 4% over 4 right now. Okay, depending on how much you put. You know what? Different conversation. I'm like, how much are you getting over 4?
Wow.
You have to look for different ones.
Yeah.
You have to look for different ones, which I have 2 that are paying over 4.
Okay. The question is, like, how long will they do that for, right? So it's also for
2 years. I think, 2 years.
But it's really looking forward. Yeah. So if interest rates, because we talked about the market, if interest rates drop, if the Fed is cutting rates, what's going to happen to your
savings drop, but they don't drop as much as like other banks do. Like Capital One is at 3.6, so 3.5. They're still at 4.3.
That's fair.
Okay. I want to touch on IULs, right? So I've been talking, people have been telling me, okay, Wale, you should think about doing an IUL. So I have term, right? I have term life, that benefits what I need. But, I have a friend, that's, he's going through a tough time, but he said he didn't reach the limits of the 19,500 to take money out. So I'm like, if I can't go take the money out, why would I get an IUL when I actually need it, right? So tell me about, okay, what is how is it to put in to get the money that I actually need in the time of needs, right? So again, should I get IUL? Should I get IRA? Should I just do my term life and just call it a day?
I love this question. We can have a whole conversation about this.
Let's run it.
So I'm a big believer in life insurance for the first reason of planning, right? Like the death benefit side. But I'm also a big believer in cash value life insurance. People talk about IULs and whole life, but there are other types of cash value life insurance policies.
Okay.
The first thing I will say is if somebody is asking or telling you to get an IUL or whole life, ask them, are you a financial advisor? Not are you a life insurance agent? Two different things, because life insurance agents can only sell you whole life for IULs, right? There's also VULs. There's also IVULs. That's like saying, I want to buy property. Cool. For what? You want to buy single family, duplex, commercial? Those are all property, but they're going to build you equity in different ways, right? Fair. That's how cash value life insurance works. Some will build you more cash or quicker cash and cost more, but you have to have somebody who knows what they're doing and is licensed. So ask them, are you a financial advisor? Do you have securities licenses, or are you a life insurance agent? Different things, right? So that's one. Two, I'll address it more on the bigger topic of cash value life insurance, not about IULs, because is an IUL even suitable for you? I don't know, right? It can work if you do it the right way. So one of my colleagues, his mom set up life insurance for him when he was a kid, him and his sister. That's how he bought his first rental property in college. Still has it till today, 20 years later. His sister used it for her wedding. So yes, can you take cash value out of it? Yes. Will it have more than what you put in? Yes. The question is, when they're selling this to you, what are the dreams that they're selling? Are they telling you can take it out in 2 years? That's not happening, right? So depending on which policy you set up, what I tell clients for VULs is you want to wait at least 10 years.
So what's VUL?
VUL is variable universal life.
Yeah.
So for people who can take more risk, like, oh, I want to invest in the market, I want market returns, VUL makes sense. If you're more scared, maybe IUL, right? But there's pros and cons of that. Whole life is, I'm super conservative, right? I'm okay. I don't want any, I'm okay with 4%. That's whole life.
Okay.
The thing with all of these is that you want to wait 10, 15 years to take money out of them, right? You have to look at the numbers. So that 19,500, I don't even know what he's referring to, because it depends on how did they actually design this.
Yeah, that's what he told me, because I was like, if you're struggling right now, you had this for like 4 years, why can't you tap into that money? And so I mean, again, I guess you say
you can have a one-on-one, because when I tell you that when it's done right, the people, the millionaires, what do you think? They're putting, this is tax-free money you could take out in the future. Where else are you going to put that? If you can't do a Roth IRA, where else are you going to put money in after tax, take it out tax-free? There's literally nowhere else if it's designed the right way. If you're looking at, I want money for an emergency fund, you need to put it in a high-yield savings account. That's not life insurance. But if you're looking at, I want to have tax-free growth for the future, I want to diversify in different places, I want to have creditor protection, let's have a conversation. But it's really about what is the purpose of the product. If you're trying to make a long-term thing, a short-term thing, of course it's not going to work. But again, it's who sold it to you.
That's amazing. I love that answer.
But yeah, tell people where they can find you.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Kofo Akoshile, Kofo Akosile. I feel like it's going to appear like right here. Yes. So yes, find me on Instagram, and then you'll see my website. You can always DM me, email. If you have any questions about your finances, let me know.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Kofo. It was a lovely, lovely, lovely conversation.
And that's a wrap for us. Like, share, and subscribe.
Coding Capital. Peace out.